Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Healing Edge, where healing and transformation matters. I am your host, Angel Akinwale. Previously on episode 1, I dove into what I believe started the trauma for my life. I talked about some abandonment issues from family members. I discussed details about how my ex-husband and I met. I discussed how my reasoning for my actions at the age of 16. Today, I'm going to go a little deeper. I ended the first episode on stating how my ex, then boyfriend, began our relationship. And today I'm going to discuss how that relationship pretty much blossomed. And I'm going to dive into how there were definitely signs of manipulation and abuse that were definitely overlooked. As I stated in episode 1, when you're at the age of 16, you're not really thinking about flags. You're just pretty much living in that moment because you're young, you're vibrant, and you're still trying to figure things out. So I didn't see those so-called red flags. I didn't see them. But through moments of reflection, I'm able to say, aha, if I only knew then what I know now, why would things be different? But I didn't know. And things were what they were. And I say oftentimes everything happens for a reason. And it was definitely meant for certain things to transpire for my development and for me to be where I am today in making this second episode, because I know that I am going to empower and inspire someone that is going through something similar, okay? Either you're going through it, someone is going through it, you may end up running into someone in certain situations, and you'll have this information to be able to empower that individual while they're going through whatever their circumstance is in their life at the time. So I'm going to start this video by continuing with my ex. I ended with episode 1 by discussing how he got me everything I wanted. That was his love language. He would get me everything that I wanted. If I said I wanted something, I had to be very careful because he would do everything in his power to go out and get that thing. And even if I didn't tell him at some point, he knew my taste. He knew the things that I liked. He knew the things that I disliked. So if I didn't ask him for something and he just wanted to do something, an act of kindness or an act of love, he would just surprise me with a thing, whether it was a designer purse, clothes, shoes, he would provide me with that thing. Now, oftentimes we would go out on dates. We would continue to ditch school. Not saying that I'm proud of that, but we ended up ditching school quite repetitiously, all right? And we would explore certain areas in the DMV. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, or the Washington metropolitan area, okay? We would go to different parks. We even made our personal field trips down at the courthouse just to hear different court cases, because I had a tendency to just observe court cases. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to do something in criminal justice. I wanted to be a judge. I wanted to do something in law, okay? And he knew this. So we just went to observe cases. And I believe our last trip to the courthouse was when we sat until the end of, I guess you call them trials or something. And the judge looked and said, "Have we called everybody?" we have 2 people left in the back. Y'all look pretty young. Do you have a case today? We're like, oh, no, we were just here on observation. And the judge asked us a few more questions. I can't really remember what the questions were, but asked us a few more questions, and we ended up leaving the courthouse. And we ended up he introduced me to the National Arboretum over off New York. Well, yeah, off 50. We would go there several times. That was our place of peace. And we would have certain conversations. And, now that I reflect on certain conversations that were had, I'm thinking like, what would make somebody ask me something like that? Now, I believe that's the Anacostia River that goes through the National Arboretum. I can't remember. It's a river. I might have the wrong river, but it's a stream of water. And the currents were very strong at all times. And we would sit back in the gazebo and we just watch the water, and we would just, disclose certain information with each other, trying to get to know each other a little bit more, right? As people do when they start dating. So we're looking at the water, and he starts saying, the tides are really strong here. Or the currents, I'm sorry, I keep saying tides. They're very strong. He said, you know what? He said, you can kill somebody and throw them in this river right here, and the currents would take them straight to the bottom. They would never find them. And at that point, I just looked at him. I said, oh, for real? I can't remember exactly what I said, but that was just quite strange for somebody to just come out and say something like that. Like, why are we talking about murdering people? And why are we talking about disposing of bodies? And, what will happen if we threw a body in this water? That was strange to me. As usual, he would change the subject and laugh it off. I'm just playing, and, just change the subject. But he wasn't playing. That was a flag that I should have paid attention to, even at the age of 16, but I didn't. He also disclosed with me at that same location that, he said he had a secret to tell me. And I said, well, what is your secret? I'm a little nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what is the secret? And he says, I really don't share this information with nobody, but, I feel comfortable enough to share this with you, but just don't judge me or anything. I said, no, what is it? You okay? He said, I'm fine. He says, but how would you feel if I told you that mental illness runs in my family? I said, what do you mean? What type of mental illness runs in your family? He says, well, my mom is diagnosed with, and then he tells me her diagnosis. And at that time, I really didn't know much about, mental illnesses. I wasn't educated about that, at the age of 16, I didn't know. So he would have to tell me, and whatever he told me, I believed, right? So he says to me, I told my mom about you, and I told her I really liked you. I said, oh, okay. Well, what did she say? And he says, well, she wants to meet you. I said, oh God, like, you're my first boyfriend. I've never gone through this before. I've never met anybody else's mom before outside of seeing them in the school setting, parents coming down to the class for parties or so forth, chaperoning for field trips. I've never met anybody's mom before. How do I react? What do I say? And I say this to him. He says, well, just be yourself, I said, okay. So I said, well, when do you want to go see her? Because he did disclose that she was in a facility. She was no longer, out able to interact with the rest of society. She had to be placed in a home or in a facility. And she was medicated and things of that nature. So he says, we can actually, take a trip. You just let me know when you're ready, and we'll go, see her one day. I said, okay. So I can't remember what day it was. This is some umpteen years ago. But one afternoon, we took a trip down to where she was located, and we went to go see her. And I could tell he was a little uncomfortable. And I didn't know, like I told you, I was unfamiliar with the nature of the disabilities. But, she was diagnosed with paranoia, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. And I just didn't know what to expect. So we get there, and as soon as we get into the facility, I'm walking in with them, and she just starts laughing. She greets him, "How are you?" And she looks at me and said, "Who it is? This your friend?" And me being me, I'm like, "Oh my God, like, what's she laughing at? I got an egg on my face or something? Like, am I funny looking? Like, what is this?" And he said, "This your girlfriend? Your girlfriend?" He says, "Yeah, this is her." I said, "Oh my gosh. She looks like, you know, she called his sister's name, his youngest sister." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, she looked just like her. She looked just like her." And he says, "Yeah, she does." And I looked at him like, wow, so the whole time we're talking to each other, dating, you never told me that, I resembled any of your relatives. I mean, now I'm thinking, is that why you decided to pursue me? Or, I don't know. But that was just, something that I thought about. And he was like, "Yeah, you look a lot like my little sister." And the mom just kept saying it. And the mom kept hitting me, and I didn't know what that was about. She just kept laughing. "How you doing?" And smacking me in the arm. "How you doing? Oh, you so cute. You so pretty." And she'll call his name and be like, "Oh, she looked just like your younger sister." So that video, we stayed there for like an hour or so. And we ended up coming back, and the ride was a bit awkward. It was kind of quiet, you know, because as he stated, he did not disclose this information to anybody before. So I let him know that, I wasn't judging him. I didn't feel any different about him. And I accepted him for who he was. And that actually made me like him more than it just intensified my feelings towards him, if that makes sense, because he let me in his personal space. And I didn't think that he would do that. Yeah, he's met my family, my mom, my sister, and my brother, and, you know, but I didn't think that I would meet any of his family that soon, but I did. I also had an opportunity to meet the woman that raised him, which was the grandmother. And that was quite interesting as well. That visitation was very interesting. It was quite awkward, actually. She never really welcomed me. I never really felt welcomed by her. She spoke when I came around, but it was always like, "Yeah, hi, Angel." And then she'll go and talk to him. She didn't care that I was his girlfriend. She didn't care about any of that. And yeah, that was pretty strange. That was pretty strange. Now, when I did get an opportunity to meet his younger sisters. So he has an older brother and two younger sisters. I did get an opportunity to meet all three of the siblings. The older brother, I did get a chance to meet. I met the younger sisters first. One of them was highly favored over the older. They were both younger sisters, but the older of the younger sisters was the one that was favored over the younger sister, right? So she was lighter in skin complexion. She had longer hair, a nice hair texture. Family just catered to this one particular child. The younger child was darker. She looked something like me. And, there was just some things that, thinking about it right now, I'm just like, if I knew then what I know now, I would have walked away. I would have never pursued a relationship with this individual. But the young lady, the younger sister, the grandmother didn't raise the younger sister. She kept the older one and got rid of the younger one, had someone else just have complete guardianship over that younger one. The younger one was between an aunt and The guardian would very seldomly come with the grandma. It was just a weird situation. Like when you look at the whole dynamics of the family setup, like, you're keeping this one, you're keeping this one. The older brother finally get to meet him. He was about that life, that street life. You know what I mean? So he completely different than my ex. You know, he was also lighter in complexion. The grandmother took him in until she couldn't take him in no more. You know, like he was, when I say he was out there, he was out there. But she couldn't keep him anymore, and he ended up leaving. I also discovered, my ex disclosed to me that the older brother had mental illnesses, and the diagnosis was similar to the mom's, and he needed medication and had severe anger issues. And he ended up coming to my mom's house, and my ex-husband had words with him and kind of had to get physical with him in order to get him out of our house, or my mom's house at that time. But yeah, he's also in a group home or some sort of facility because he's not able to manage in normal society as well, like the mom. So as time goes on, we would be in the car. We'd be having a conversation. He'll be saying something and he'll be laughing. And all of a sudden, his right hand, because he's driving. I'm laughing. We have a conversation. We laughing together. And all of a sudden, I would get a pop on my left thigh. What you hit me for? I'm looking at him like, did you just hit me? We're laughing and having a good time. Like, dude, did you just hit me? And he was like, oh, what? I scared you. No, did you just hit me? He goes, yeah, I'm just playing. I was just playing. I was like, oh, okay. He said, you don't like that? I said, no, I don't like that. Don't hit me again. I did say, I don't like that. Don't hit me again. He said, I won't do it again. And then we both just laughed it off a little bit, but my leg was stinging like a mug. It was stinging. He hit me hard. And it came out of nowhere. Another red flag, another sign that even at the age of 16, I should have observed this man, he shouldn't have hit me. That was not okay for you to just hit me. Even if you were playing, that's not okay for you to hit me. We were already at the point in our relationship where we're saying we love each other. By this time, we're 17 years old. We love each other. We've already had our first sexual encounter with each other. And when he hit me, he did apologize, said he wouldn't do it again, and then sealed it with an I love you, 17 years old. Incidents like that transpired several times throughout our relationship. And it always ended with, I'm just playing, I'm sorry, and I love you. Did I share it with my mom? Did I share it with my sister? Did I share it with anybody? No. I didn't with anybody. I didn't share that with anybody. Everybody would say, that knew we were together would say, oh, y'all were so cute together. I love y'all's energy together. That and the third. And I'm sitting here like, who was I going to talk to? Never really received the love from my mother. Never really received the love from my father. Now I'm receiving and experiencing a different form of love from a young boy that I'm now connected to through sexual activity. So we've already created this soul tie. It's already hard enough to walk away from him because of that soul tie. And he's putting his hands on me and telling me he loves me. And because I'm me, I feel like I love you too. He said he's sorry, he won't do it again. I'm not thinking it's assault. I'm not thinking it's abuse, but I didn't like it. That should have been enough for me to walk away. But I stayed. By me staying, not seeking help, my circumstances intensified with this young man. Our situations got worse. Our fights got worse. Our arguments got worse. For people to say that there's no God, there's definitely a God. Somebody was there protecting me. Prayers of my grandmother, for sure. Prayers of, ancestors, just prayers in general. My angels were definitely there to protect me. Because as I go deeper into these circumstances and situations that transpired, how am I still standing? Let God. Let God.